Summer-nominated jazz trumpeter and composer Lwanda Gogwana's music is heavily steeped in Xhosa myth, melody and methodology. Gogwana's music oscillates between township funk, hard bop and swing, and everything in between. But his birthplace of Mdantsane in the Eastern Cape is pivotal in his music tastes and preferences and approach to music. Pleasure to have you with us, Lwanda.
Thank you, sir.
Much appreciated. So I know you're carrying a weapon of mass entertainment.
Mass entertainment, yes, I like that.
Weapon of mass enjoyment. And not many artists play the trumpet because it's, well, obviously you stand out when you play the trumpet, but it's not the popular one. To have gone to school only to come back carrying trumpet. Again. I'm sure your parents said, give him a hiding. We send him to university, he comes back with a trumpet.
Well, in fact, the trumpet is a very rare instrument to choose for young students. I mean, when I wanted to play an instrument, I wanted to play the saxophone.
Yes.
But they only had one saxophone at school, so someone else was using it, and I think the trumpet was just amongst the instruments in the room, and I just pointed to one, and it happened to be the trumpet.
And you fell in love with the trumpet.
It's a difficult instrument to play. I mean, I also play the piano.
Yeah.
And when I practice the piano, say I practice today and I don't practice for the next couple of weeks, I can still sort of take off from where I left off, or I kind of feel the same presence as the last time I practiced. But with the trumpet, you practice today and you leave it for a day or two, you can feel the vibrations on the lips are quite tense, and it becomes a battle, you know, to get back into the groove again. So that's why it's an everyday.
You have to play it all the time.
Yeah.
Play it all the time. Well, but here you are. I mean, when you studied at UCT, was this your instrument of choice? Whatever you studied, you had to do it around and with the trumpet.
I, in fact, started playing at primary school in '96. So when I got to UCT in 2005, I had to specialize on a specific instrument and then have a second instrument, like a harmony instrument.
Yes.
We're encouraged to also play an instrument that focuses on harmony, because the trumpet is a melody and a front instrument.
Yes.
So this was my main instrument, and then the piano was the second instrument.
Okay, and of course, you know, to practice, you can't just do any kind of, I wouldn't say gibberish, because it would not be fair to a musician. I'm sure I'll get in trouble. You have to try and create some outstanding stuff that makes it unique. Because after all, the trumpet is the trumpet, but what differentiates it is the player.
And I mean, we learn at school a lot of techniques on how to be a great trumpet player, but there comes a time or a point in a musician's life where they want to be inspired by something that is special to them.
Yes.
And I think that's what differentiates musicians of any instrument that they play, is what inspires them. Because I mean, in music, we've got letter names for sounds. Like if I play a C, the C that I play is different to what the great Terence Blanchard from America plays, because he's inspired by something different.
Well, and I'm thinking again, the personalities. One thing that one can say about the trumpet is that almost everyone who plays it in a professional sense stands out anyway. You got to know them. Wynton Marsalis, Louis Armstrong, Hugh Masekela.
It's been a famous trend in jazz that trumpet players are band leaders.
Yes.
Like we have vocalists as band leaders.
Yes.
So I think there's something in the instrument that kind of puts one in a position of command. And I think that's generally.
And general.
Like a general.
The general of the...
It's a very military instrument, so maybe
well, actually, it fits in nicely there. So the experience around South Africa playing to the audiences here, you find that, you know, there's still an appreciation for this instrument and the music that you make?
Yes, and I think it's, in fact, growing, because there was a bit of a dip, I think, because from when I used to listen to jazz when I was still very young and watching music videos on television and jazz shows around the country, there was a period of, some sort of dip. And I think there's, although differently, there's a rise in jazz now. There's jazz clubs and there's musicians of a different breed. I think musicians now are musicians that come from an institution, a formal institution that they would have studied music from. And I think that's the driving force of jazz today.
Well, you say that the music went through a dip somewhat and it's emerging again. And it's also interesting to see much younger jazz performers emerge in South Africa. But there must be a lot of inspiration for, you know, in the sea of hip hop and popular music to choose the genre of jazz.
I think the inspiration, I mean, for me, from where I'm standing, I think the inspiration is identity. In their own way, like my fellow colleagues are fighting for some sort of identity as the youth and also as black youth of South Africa. For me, like, I'm about to release my second record, and my inspiration is trying to find identity from my closer roots. And I think because we have that freedom and now we have a platform, and I think that's the driving force behind jazz musicians in South Africa.
Well, differentiate yourself, if you will, from Terence Blanchard or Wynton Marsalis and say, with me, you'll have to understand that I've got strong Xhosa roots. Can you express them through this trumpet?
Of course,
Let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Okay. So this is how I'm different. This is my voice.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well. There you are, Lwanda. But there are musicians, obviously, who've given you sort of the cue or the key of how to go about it, that when you play, you think about, who speak your voice, who speak your language. Who are those?
It has to be the great Hugh Masekela, Moses Molegwa, and Brazil Gogwana. Those are my inspirations. I think what they were getting at in terms of their music and the sources of which they were looking for these things, and I think I'm also trying to go the same direction.
I like the language. I like the way you say it. It's like you're a medicine man, you know, a herbalist looking for a little bit of this here, a little bit of that. It feels like that, doesn't it?
Musicians are that.
They are
Musicians are that. I think music is supposed to heal, it's supposed to change people, and that's what medicine does. It's supposed to better life.
We hope you got a little bit of healing there from Mr. Gogwana here. You're going to hear from this young man in the future. Second album you're working on, when is it coming out?
End of April, will be released at my home in East London. In fact, I have another gig with my band in East London, the 26th of March.
Okay.
But the official release of the album is on the
We're looking forward to your release.
Thank you.
And thanks for being my guest here.
Thank you so much.
And everything of the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
That's how we end tonight's edition of Tonight with Tim Modise. Until next time, good night to you.
Thank you.